Hey, it's 2015 and we're back with an iMac. We're going to do some upgrades on it today. Welcome to Hack a Week. So about 2 months ago, I picked up this iMac. It's a 24-inch from early 2008. Got a pretty good price on it. It's got 4 gigabytes of RAM and a 250 gigabyte hard drive. The 250 gigabyte hard drive would just get burned up really quick doing video, so I decided to upgrade that and upgrade the RAM. Now, Apple says you can only put 4 gigabytes in here. I've checked around on some of the forums and the chipset will address 6 gigabytes. You can put 8 gigabytes in and it'll run, but it'll still only use 6 gigabytes. So I've got a 4 gigabyte stick I'm going to put in there, give me a total of 6 gigabytes on the RAM, and we're going to upgrade the hard drive to a 3 terabyte drive. I've already cloned the hard drive that's in the Mac to this 3 terabyte drive, and I used Carbon Copy Cloner to do that. Pretty cool app. Came with this machine. I've also got a 500 gigabyte drive here that's USB that I can use to back up later and do backups with Time Machine or just clone the drive. But this one right here I have attached externally with a external setup that was all enclosed in a box. Bought it at Best Buy. It's a Toshiba hard drive. And the controller here was mounted inside the box. I bought it on sale. I think it was like 79 bucks. It was an open box item for a 3 terabyte drive. That's a pretty good deal. And so I just connected it up here with the USB and cloned everything to that. And then I went into my system settings and set it up so it would boot off from this drive. So right now, this machine is booted up and running on this external USB drive. So what we're going to do now is get this thing out in the workshop, take it apart, and put that 3 terabyte drive in here. Okay, out here on the workbench, we are on the XP machine now. I've got iFixit's website opened up. This is where I found the repair guide for doing this job, and you could just go here and follow their instructions if you want to, but hey, it's Hack a Week, so if I'm going to do a repair on my computer, you bet that I'm going to share it on a video. So here in the iFixit website, we'll go to Mac Repair, and we're going to go to the desktop and then the category of iMacs, and we're going to choose the Intel chip based iMac. That's what I have. And I have the 24-inch EMC 2134. And now we have 7 replacement guides here. I'm going to choose the one for hard drive. And there we go. All the steps required to get at the hard drive and replace it. So let's get started. I'm going to follow along with this. And now I'm going to move the video to the overhead. Hi there. So here we are with the video overhead. And there's a lot of glare because this is a glass panel on the front of this machine. First thing we need to do is take that glass panel off. Let's take a look at what we'll need for this project. I've got a nifty little set of screwdriver tips and Torx tips here with a driver to go with them. This is the thing that they call a, they call it a spurge or something like that. It's just basically a little thing you can pry with. You can use the edge of a credit card. There's a place in here where we need to use that to lift up something. But mostly what you need is a, let's see, number 1 Phillips. We've got that in here. You need a T6 Torx and you need a T8 Torx and a couple of suction cups. What are the suction cups for, you ask? Well, they are to take off this glass panel on the front of this iMac. Now the ones that they show are pretty large. I've just got these to work with. They're kind of tiny. Not really sure if they're going to work. So you're going to find out right here before your very eyes. And we just put one in each corner and we're going to lift this glass off. So what holds it in? You may wonder. Well, there's a strip of metal stuck to the back of the glass panel, and then there are magnets all the way around this perimeter, and then that's what holds the glass panel in place. Whether or not these are going to be strong enough to lift this out will be revealed here in just a moment. So let me get these stuck in place. And they emphasize to pull on this evenly as you lift it up. I've seen quite a few iMacs for sale on eBay with a broken glass, and I will bet you the reason it got broke was someone was trying to pry this off with a screwdriver, or perhaps the machine got dropped. But anyway, let's give this a pull and see if the glass, yes indeed, look at that, it does, it comes right off. And there is so much static on this right now, it's zapping, I can hear it. So we're going to put this somewhere safe. And later when we go to put all this back together, we've got to be so sterile with everything and keep all the dust and everything off, or fingerprints for that matter, because it will show up. So I'm going to move this off to the side. We need to take the memory door panel off. That's right here on the bottom, number 1 Phillips. We're going to upgrade the memory like I mentioned while we're in here. Go ahead and lift that off with the screw and all. And I'm going to put that over here in my little otter box that I use to keep my parts in. We'll pop the memory out later, but that has to come off because that's part of lifting off this front bezel, is getting that one off. And now we'll go back to the front and focus on the screws around the perimeter here. We'll get out the T8 Torx. And let's keep track of these because they mentioned that there may be some different length screws in here. So when I lay them off to the side here in my little parts tray, I'm going to lay them out in the same order that they came off, kind of in a circle like this, so I know where they all go when I put it back together. Now we're going to lift off this entire bezel, and there is a microphone cable still attached up here, so I'm going to lift up this edge first, the top edge, the bottom edge last, and we'll just move it like that. Watch out, there are 2 studs protruding down here. Don't let those hit the LCD and screw things up. Let's just tilt this back. I'm going to let it just lean against me here. There's a little bit of cellophane wrap, something like that, plastic tape around this connector. I guess they put that in there to make sure that it didn't come apart. So I'm going to get my X-Acto blade here. Be very careful about what I pass over the top of this display panel because I don't want to drop anything on it. That would be disastrous. So once I cut through this little bit of plastic, then I can disconnect this little guy for the microphone. There we go. Now we'll set the bezel aside. Down here along the bottom edge there is a temperature sensor for this LCD, and the wire comes out here and runs right there on the logic board. We need to pull that. Next up is the data cable connector for the LCD, and that's held on with 2 T6 Torx screws. It's right here. It's got a little pull tab on it. Or you can just get your fingernails under it and pull. And that's it. That's disconnected. Now we're going to go back to the T8 and remove 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 screws, 4 on each side, so that we can take the LCD out. Aha! This is not a T8 on this machine. Did I grab my T8? Let's see. Yeah. Now, as it turns out, mine are T9. And they said T8 in the guide, so bear that in mind. That's an error maybe on their part, or maybe Apple decided to change it. Now there's another LCD cable located here. It's on the top left corner. That would be as you're facing the machine if it was sitting upright. Lift up the LCD panel, and this cable right here has to be disconnected from this board right here. Now in the instructions they tell you to reach down here and just pull it free, and to be careful not to get zapped by a capacitor. And you can see there's quite a few of them there. There's a lot of those caps there for the LCD, and yeah, I'm sure they could zap you pretty good. So I'm going to be real careful about it and just give it a pull downward, and there it is. It's disconnected. Now the entire LCD can be gently lifted away. Okay, back inside the machine, let's zoom in on that hard drive, and we're going to take that out. First thing we got to do is get these wires pulled away from the machine here. There's some sticky tape that holds these things in place. Let's pull that off. And this is the temperature sensor for the hard drive, and it should be stuck down to the hard drive there. This one really wasn't. We'll set that over here for now. That's the temperature sensor. It should go with the flat side down right up against the hard drive. And they tell you to disconnect it from the board, but I don't really see any need to do that when I can just tuck it over here out of my way and leave it plugged in. This other one right here is the temperature sensor, I believe, for the CD-ROM. And we can just move that wire out of the way as well. Now we can take the hard drive out. There's a plastic bracket here that's kind of spring-loaded on its own plastic. If you give that a squeeze and push that way toward the bottom of the machine, it takes a bit of force, and then we can just lift the entire hard drive assembly right up out of here. Now over here we've got the data and power cables. Let's disconnect those. And that's it, we're free. Now we can take this stuff and transfer it over to the other hard drive. So the pieces we need to transfer are these two pegs right here. I think that those are T8s maybe? Looks like the T9 fits in there. So we'll take those two out and set them aside. Now just to keep things straight, I can take my 3 terabyte drive, put it up here and get it oriented the proper way, and go ahead and put these two dowels in on this side. We'll tighten those down. Now we'll pull the ones off this side, this mount. We'll lift that off and then set them onto the 3 terabyte drive and put the screws back in. Tighten those up. Okay, now we'll put our power and data cables back on. And slide it back into the holder, clip it into place. There we go. Now we can go ahead and remount that temperature sensor. A little bracket that holds it into place. It's got a bit of sticky material on it right now, but it's not that sticky anymore like it used to be. So what I'm going to do is grab some of my good old Scotch double-sided tape, and I'll put a small piece on the back right here, and then one more small piece on the other side. Try not to handle it too much so that it stays sticky. We'll go ahead and fix this into place right there. Push that down. Make sure it's stuck pretty good. Put our little piece of foam back on there. I guess that just kind of helps insulate it. And I guess I can just use another piece of the sticky back double-sided stuff to hold that back in place, those little wires. Okay, now we just basically reverse everything we did before. We get the LCD over the top here and put it back in and plug it in and all that stuff. Okie dokie. We'll get the bottom dropped in first, and then we'll get down underneath here and see if we can plug this back in without getting zapped by those capacitors. This ought to be a lot of fun. Okay, let's see. I think I've got it started. I'm prying up on it and I'm pushing on the plastic part only, not on the wires. And I think that's it. I think I got it. Okay, now we can get all of our connectors hooked back up here. First one would be that one right there. Push that back into place. And take the T6 and put the screws back in. Now we get the temperature sensor plugged back in over here. Now before I button everything completely back up, I've got a power cable connected and I'm going to power it up. There's no keyboard, there's no mouse connected, and it's probably going to give me a message saying that. But I'm just going to see if it will boot up and everything is okay. Here we go. Dum dum. Yep, right there, that question mark's telling me I don't see a hard drive anywhere. So I think what I'm going to have to do is power down and hook up the 250 gigabyte drive on my external controller, plug it into the USB, boot up, and then reassign the startup drive to the one that's internal. Okay, I flipped everything around so you can see the screen the way it's supposed to be. I've got the external drive connected via USB. I've got a keyboard here. I've got a magic mouse connected so I can get in there and reconfigure things. So let's see if we get a boot up. I got the blue light is on the 250 gig drive. And we just have to give it a wait and see what happens. Oh, and you know what? While it's booting up here, I just noticed something that I missed. I've got to go back in there. See, this is why I never button stuff up right away. That little widget right there, that little electrostatic guy that connects this whole thing to the ground internally, that's got to be put back on that other hard drive. So, you know, I just got back in here to put that little conductive piece of foam back on the hard drive and found out that I can do it this way. All you need to do is lift the LCD up and not even disconnect it from the power supply board. You can totally get at it right there. You just prop this up with something and save yourself the step of all the hassle of doing that darn plug. Okay, well, this still doesn't explain why I'm not booting up here, but onward through the fog. Nope, not gonna work. It's still showing only the 250 gigabyte, not the 3 terabyte. So I can only put a 2 terabyte in this machine. That means I'll have to get a different drive. But I can use the 3 terabyte external as backup. So, oh well, no worries. Okay, let's just shut this down. Okay, shortcut to a 2 terabyte drive installed in there. The 250 gigabyte is out here, the one with my operating system on it. So I'm going to boot up. Okay, the disk is in there, it booted up, and the disk you inserted was not readable by the computer. Okay, let's initialize that disk. So let's see. There's the 250 byte. Here it is, 2 terabyte. All right, we want to erase it. We're going to do that in Mac OS Extended, journaled. Let's give it a name. Let's see, we got the right one selected, 2 terabyte. Okay, there we go. Erase. Yes, I want to erase it. So now it's going to erase it and format it. And then I will clone the 250 gigabyte drive. Backup completed successfully. So we have a cloned drive now inside the machine. Alrighty. Let's open System Preferences and we'll choose the new drive as the startup disk, which is this one right here. There we go, and let's hit restart. Great, we're up and running. Let's do a little about this Mac and more info. Take a look at the storage. And there it is. There's the iMac Office, 2 terabyte SATA. Look at all of that available space to fill up with videos and projects just for you guys. Well, and for my enjoyment as well. So anyway, that's that. It looks like we can shut this down now and button it all back up. Put all the pieces back together. And we'll put all these screws back into the panel. Let's put the bezel back on. We'll put the bottom first and line up that RAM bay plastic bezel with the front bezel. Pull it upwards towards me till it wants to move into place. There we go. Now we got to connect the microphone cable up here. Can't forget that. And that's the last one. And you know what? These were all T9s. Even though iFixit's site said they were T8s, these are T9s. So maybe the model they worked on were T8s. And finally the RAM bay cover. Time to get the glass back on. Before that goes on, all of this dust now has got to get out of here, and any dust on the back side of the glass. So I'll use a little bit of my canned air and blow off any little bits of dust that are on here. Okay, that's cleaned off and ready. Now I'm going to go get the glass. And before I bring the glass over here, I'm going to give it a little squirt with some window cleaner on the surface. That'll help dissipate any static electricity that's on the glass. Okay, one more blast. Hopefully that's got all the dust under control. The magnets are going to try to pull this down a little, so I'm just going to let it go. That's it. Let's take those suction cups off. Get a Windex and a little clean off with the microfiber cloth. That's it. We're ready to put this Mac back in action. Well, there it is. It's up and running. Everything works great, and we've upgraded to a 2 terabyte hard drive and 6 gigabytes of memory now, which is great. I'll probably need all of that with the upcoming videos this year. The increase in RAM should help a bit with the video editing and rendering, I hope. We'll see. The proof will be in getting to work here on this video and doing the editing and see how the performance is. Found out you can't put a 3 terabyte drive in this particular machine. The later ones you can update the firmware and you can put a 3 terabyte drive in, just not this particular one, the early 2008 iMac. So there we go, the first video of the new year. Thanks for watching. Thanks for all the donations. Like it, share it, and until next time. Got a Mac here that I got to upgrade the hard rate. There's the first blooper.